A lot going on in the world of AEW. First, we got this coming Saturday. Big time match, 6-man tag team titles on the line. You can watch AEW Collision live on DAZN in select international markets. As FTR will be challenging the House of Black for the AEW Trios titles. I got 2/3 of the team here. Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, the AEW Tag Team Champions, and they like when I say this, the best damn tag team in the world, the great FTR. And I was saying, guys, before we started, last time, we talked about a year ago at this time, we caused trouble, so let's not do that again today.
All right, well, I can't make any promises, but we'll try. Yeah, we'll do our best. How's that?
Well, I'm always down for trouble, but if you want to cause trouble, I'm always down for that cause.
We'll see where the story takes us. Me too.
You know, it's been a wild 12 months for you guys. You know, you had 3 sets of gold, lost 3 sets of gold, and now you had 2 sets. Yeah, my math is so fuzzy these days. 3 sets of 3 sets of gold. Now you have 1 set of gold. Look back on the 4 titles you have captured in that time. Which one means the most to you guys?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I think that probably, not to disparage anybody else, but probably this second reign as AEW Tag Team Champions for me, because it's our redemption story, because our first reign didn't go the way that we wanted to. I'm super proud, and one of our biggest accomplishments and one of the biggest goals that we set for ourselves when we first started teaming was to become the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And then, of course, the Ring of Honor run really helped cement our legacy in wrestling. But I think this second run as AEW Tag Team Champions has set us up and solidified us as the greatest tag team in the world. Yeah, same for me. I would say that the second run is the AEW Tag Champions, because we want to have this be our defining run. And, it took a little while to get rolling this time, but once Collision got started, we've really been able to kick it into high gear and have the defenses we wanted to have. Now we got House of Black coming up, so maybe we can start the belt collector again. We won 3 last year. We didn't get the AEW titles. We wanted to complete that collection. So now maybe we do it backwards. We got the AEW tag team titles. Maybe we win the trios. Maybe we win IWGP. Who knows? But right now, AEW is our number 1 most important. But let's see what happens Saturday in Greensboro too.
I talked to Ricky Starks last week about this topic, about this question, and I want to ask you guys the same thing. I think it's parallel. And I asked Ricky about what it means for Punk to be in the company. And, we talked to Paul White, and we asked Paul the same thing a few weeks back. And I'll ask you guys, you know him better than anybody. What does it mean to have Punk back in the company?
Well, I mean, I think that, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, oh, of course Dax thinks that, but I think that Punk is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I mean, you look at his track record, his resume, and the things that he's done in professional wrestling, especially when, the business at one point was completely against him and what he represented and who he was. And he made a name for himself and became, one of the biggest stars our industry's ever seen. And he left the other promotion. He left WWE on his own accord, and they wanted him back. They begged to have him back for years and years and years, and he never went back, and AEW landed that. And having, in my opinion, the second biggest, maybe up there with Roman Reigns, the biggest name in professional wrestling today, only helps everybody else in the company because it's bringing more eyeballs to the product. And he also has something to prove. I don't think he's come back just for nostalgia, as a nostalgia act. I think he's come back to reclaim his spot as best in the world. Yeah, I think it makes us a better company. It makes AEW as a whole a better company on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. And it just makes our roster better. And the stronger roster that we can have as a wrestling company, the better wrestling is going to be, because we're such a young company. We need all the help we can get. And having a guy like CM Punk, a name like CM Punk, who, not just because we think so, like the metrics and the numbers back it up, he's one of the biggest stars wrestling scene in the past 20 plus years. So, I mean, Saturdays right now, he is so integral to the success of Collision. And we know Saturdays aren't an easy day for that. We know that we're going to have stiff competition, but we've built something really special on Saturdays. And I think it's got a lot of positive momentum, and a lot of that is attributed to CM Punk. And you can see, like, just the effect he has on younger talent, too. He's helping elevate Ricky right now. He's helped elevate so many young guys, and he has these young guys that he wants to help elevate, and that's his goal. So I think it's just going to help the locker room all around to have him be here.
You know, when you guys are drinking tequila and beer, is he drinking just water?
Pepsi. Yeah.
Still Pepsi? No water?
I mean, I'm sure he hydrates sometimes. He has to. Yeah.
Don't be a bad influence on him now, guys.
Too late. He's not even at least drink the Stone Cold beer with us, and he wouldn't even do that. So I guess he's pretty dedicated to the straight edge thing. Yeah, let's talk about living your gimmick.
You know, I just bought the double IPA. I bought a 4-pack last week, and I drank it over the weekend. Absolutely fantastic beer.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it'll fill you up though, but that IPA hits hard too.
I had 2, and I was good.
Well, don't come drink with us, brother.
Oh, see, I like tequila. I'm half Mexican, so the 3 of us could have a good tequila drinking contest, I feel like.
What's your favorite tequila?
I'm a Patron 1800 Don
Julio. Stop talking. No.
You've been sold to them.
Yeah. Now you pissed me off.
Now come drink tequila with us.
Yeah, come drink real tequila.
Now you're going to be in Chicago at the end of the month, so I think we're gonna have to set that up.
All right, and I've already scoped out the real good Chicago liquor stores to make sure I can find my good additive-free tequila.
Now, what is
defending our beautiful titles at Wembley? We'll go from all in to all out, and we'll defend some beautiful tequila with you.
Now, what is the FTR tequila of choice? Since you're bashing my tequila, what's yours?
Well, I have a few different ones. I love the brand called Fortaleza, Cascanes, Cascuine, El Tesoro, Tequila Ocho, G4, Siete Laguas. Those are my favorites.
I think I can hang with you, sir. I can hang with you guys.
No, I don't think so.
I may be 42, but and 2 kids, but I can hang with you guys in a tequila drinking contest. I have faith in myself. We'll definitely get that set up, and you guys talked about All In, which will be distributed live on DAZN pay-per-view in select international markets, as we just announced that today. And you guys laid out a challenge that really set the world on fire after another successful title defense on Saturday. And it seems like the matchup will happen, but hopefully tonight we'll get an official announcement on Dynamite. But what would it mean to have that rematch, like the trilogy match, in that stadium?
Yeah, I think that it would be. It has the potential if these guys decide they want to do it. I think it has the potential to be the biggest match of Cash and I's career. Before we even came to AEW, all you heard about was FTR versus Young Bucks, or the Revival versus the Young Bucks. What would happen if those 2 teams got in the ring? And the first match we had was during the pandemic, and I loved that match, and I'm very proud of that match. But if we could have had that full gear match 2020 in front of 10,000 people, it would have been that much more special. And then our second match was on a Dynamite, and I actually enjoyed that match better than the pay-per-view match. And this one, I feel that there's some underlying tension between the 2 teams. Not saying that we dislike each other, but there's some underlying tension because we think, this is a shoot. We honestly think we're the best tag team of the generation and could be the best tag team of all time. And I think that they feel the same way about themselves. And so I think we're going to, we're going to keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing or poking the bear until they at least give us this one match. And it's weird that the champions are laying out the challenge, but that's how bad we want it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like match 1 in Jacksonville, I really, really enjoyed that. The crowd was great, but it was a limited crowd because of the pandemic. Match 2, we only had about a week's notice, and again, I loved that crowd in Boston. They were a fantastic crowd for it, but as Dax was saying, the Revival versus the Young Bucks was a dream match for years, and it always felt like it needed the biggest platform possible. And now, after all this time, we finally get it. It really is the biggest platform possible. Wembley could be and probably will be the biggest, highest attended wrestling event in history. And what better way to have what could be the biggest tag team match of a generation than right there? Young Bucks, FTR, AEW World Tag Team titles, Wembley Stadium, All In. Who's the best?
You got to get their. They just signed new contracts. I think you guys should get that NBA level money if you guys do what you do and beat them at All In.
Who says we don't have it already? Listen, baby, let me tell you something. Barry Bloom has no idea what we're making, brother. Let me just tell you that.
Hey, I'm down for that. I'm down for that idea. And is there? We all heard what was going, underlying tension, so on and so forth. And I don't want to get into that, but where I want to get into now is there mutual respect? Is that mutual respect there with you guys towards them, or no?
Well, for us to them, yeah, for sure. I mean, I respect the hell out of them. There was, they carried tag team wrestling for quite a while when we were on the main roster in the WWE and not doing, anything. And so I have a lot of respect for them for being true to themselves and, maybe even creating a style of wrestling that you see today that a lot of younger generation try to recreate and copy. I don't know if they have respect for us. I would hope so, and I hope they have respect for our talents, and above that, us as human beings, because more than wrestling, and I think for them too, more than wrestling, we're real life people. I've talked about my wife and daughter and home life to ad nauseum, but as long as they, as long as they show the same respect to us that we have for them, then I don't think anything should be a problem. Yeah, I won't speak for Matt and Nick, but I would think they respect us. I know that I respect what they've accomplished. Again, there's going to be underlying tension because, we want to be the best. They want to be the best. And I don't think, especially at the height of their careers, that you would see Tom Brady and Peyton Manning being best buds just because they're competing for the same thing. So I respect everything they've done. I respect their accomplishments. I respect their contributions to the wrestling business. But again, we also have differing opinions on what we do in wrestling. But it doesn't take away from how I feel about what they've accomplished. I do respect them. I hope they respect us. But at the end of the day, we want to be the best. So when it comes to Wembley, when it comes to the AEW Tag Team titles, respect's going to have to go out the window a little bit.
You guys have just been, like you said, since Collision started, you guys have been putting out banger after banger after banger. And, do you guys feel, the fans make a lot out of, and I've even seen some of the wrestlers like, this, it's Dynamite against Collision against Dynamite. It feels like, and I said this to Ricky, it seems at the end of the day, it's about AEW. Do you guys feel like there's that Team Collision, Team Dynamite concept or no?
If there is, I think it's more of like a fun back and forth that the guys have. If anybody takes it too seriously, then I think that they're probably looking at it the wrong way because, like I said earlier, like AEW as a whole, we're all just one company and we're trying to do the best for us and for the wrestling business. And I want Wednesdays to do well and Saturdays to do well. I want the company to make the most money possible. I want the TV rights deal to be worth the most money possible. So I just want the company as a whole I want us to have the most fans and the highest ratings we can get on both shows. It's like, I do think that there's going to be a rivalry. It's the fun, competitive rivalry, but I think the fans probably could or would make a little bit more out of it than it really is. Yeah, ultimately, the reason we are all working so hard in AEW, on Collision, on Dynamite, on Rampage, Ring of Honor, everything in between is because for years to come, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, we want there to always be another option, not just for the fans. That's the cool part, and that's fun for them, but we also want it for the future of wrestling too, because, you see when wrestling was suffering, when there was one place to go to make a living, and there was one game in town, and there was limited jobs. And now AEW, and the first promotion in 20 years, 20 plus years, to offer another job, another set of jobs for wrestlers and staff and production people. And we need to continue to build this brand, not just the Collision brand or Dynamite brand or Rampage brand, but the brand of AEW, the whole umbrella. We need to continue to expand that so wrestlers, like I said, 10, 20, and 30 years from now have other options and can make a lot of money.
You know, we'll go to Saturday, you know, in a big match, you guys in Punk against House of Black. And big title, man, what do you make of the House of Black? You know, you look at Malachi, you look at Brody, you look at Buddy, 3 different types of skill sets in the ring. What do you make of their run thus far?
I think that the House of Black are obviously 3 incredible professional wrestlers, 3 incredible talents, and AEW is lucky to have all 3 of those guys. I'm a huge fan of Brody. I think he offers something different than probably almost anyone in not just the company, but in all of wrestling. Big, scary dude, looks the way he looks, presents a real-life fight atmosphere. Just for himself. And then Buddy is, I've said it a million times, but he's one of those athletically gifted wrestlers I've ever worked with, and have had killer matches that no one else saw except for these little small house shows in Florida back when we were in NXT. Aleister Black is an enigma in himself and a great talent, and there's no one here that wrestles like him. And so all 3 of them stand out, and in a group they shine even brighter as stars. As far as their 6-man championship run has gone so far, I think it's just hard for, until Collision came along, it's hard for television time to be spread evenly. And this, I think, would be their highest profile match on national television as a group, I think. I don't think I'm patting myself or Cash's back too hard for that, but I think that it's 3 friends on our side. It's 3 of the 3 best friends that are trying to go for a championship, and imagine the real world's champion and the tag team champions holding on to the 6-man trios titles too. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the 3 of those guys together, and separately too, but that group has so much untapped potential still. Like there's so much, like they barely even scratched the surface. All 3 of the guys could be successful singles wrestlers, or they could do any pairing of tag teams. Trios are already like the champions, obviously. So I mean, Malachi can be world champion anytime. Buddy and Brody could come after us anytime. Whatever you want to do, those guys all, and the 3 of them together, especially, and with Julia, that whole package has such a cool look and such an aura about it that they could be one of the biggest attractions in wrestling, especially now that, again, we have this Saturday show, we have Collision, we have 2 extra hours of TV every week to spread out and get people seen. And now I think you can really see them like flush out those characters and flush out everything they're capable of. And that's really, like I said, we're just scratching the surface, and this is going to be the start of their real run right here. So I'm looking forward to working with those guys. Like, I know how good they are. I've seen them like in action, like Dax was saying. We've wrestled Buddy at some point years and years ago, and we knew he was good then. He's only gotten better since. So I think House of Black can be one of the biggest attractions in wrestling, but Saturday in Greenville, they're not going to beat CMFTR.
Couple more questions, guys, and thank you so much for the time today. It's greatly appreciated. And I know this is cliche, and I know it's cheesy, and I know people are going to think it's cheesy, but I think it's a very valid question considering your guys' relationship with Punk and where, what happened last September and that whole twist in terms of what led to him coming back to the company and the great run he's on, the great run you guys are on. And what would it mean to you guys to hold those trios titles with him, considering how close all 3 of you are?
Yeah, I think that, I think he's the only person I'd love to put with FTR to hold those belts. I mean, for so long, I've only wanted my legacy to be tied with Cash and to be tied into FTR. But to have someone we have
genuinely grown to love and care about and become best friends with. That mean a lot, man. And it would also mean a lot that we would be able to take those 6-man tag team championships, the trios tag team championships, and put them on a higher pedestal. And I think that's what the plan is, starting this Saturday in the main event for the trios titles. But yeah, man, it'd be a cool storybook ending. Well, maybe not ending, but it'd be a cool chapter in our story. Let's put it like that, in the FTR story. Yeah, some of the most fun we've gotten to do in the past couple of years is just these things that matter to us and that are meaningful to us. And yeah, it can help our legacy, but we've really gotten to have fun with our careers and take charge of that. And that's one of the biggest reasons we've wanted to keep going and why AEW is our home. It's like to do something like that with CM Punk, who is, like you were saying, one of our best friends now. That means something to us. And if it means something to us and it's something where we can have fun with it, I want to do it. Like, I know we don't have a ton of time left in wrestling. I'm not going to put a time limit on there. It's going to depend on how we feel physically and a couple other factors. But, for the next couple of years, I want to make sure that we're checking off these boxes of things that we would enjoy and what gives us the most joy and makes us happy. So if part of that is being trios champions with Punk, hell yeah. I'd love to beat these guys Saturday and, again, start the belt collector and be with our best friends. Best friend.
There we go. And fans are gonna wonder why a question wasn't asked, and I'm gonna ask this because it is pertinent to the story, I think, of all you guys. And people are already fantasizing about if you guys do what Money expect you to do on Saturday and win the belts, and people are talking about you guys in the elite, for the trios titles sometime in the future. And do you feel like, considering everything still going on, do you feel like that can get across the line and the wrestlers and and more importantly the fans can get a matchup that everyone does want to see sometime in the future?
I think if the cards fall in the right place and the story is right and the opportunity calls for it, then hell yeah, we can do it. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know with all the moving parts that are involved, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I think wrestling is all about making the most money for yourselves and for the company you work for, and I think that everybody here all agrees with that. And the more time passes, the more likely I think it is that we can get to there, but you never really know, and I don't want to say yes, but I hope so.
And we'll end with this. What can fans expect on AEW Collision this coming Saturday night, live on DAZN in select international markets, as CM FTR challenges the House of Black for the AEW Trios Championships?
I think that Collision for the past 6 weeks or so has been the best professional wrestling show on television, not just in AEW, but I mean across the board. And it's because of great stories, great action, physicality, drama, emotion, and building these new stars. And I think that Saturday, just like every other match that we've been involved with so far on Collision, I think it's going to be full of all those things I just named. We are trying to re-educate the wrestling fan on what a professional wrestling program can be. And I think Saturday is just going to be another chapter in that book. Yeah, I mean, our goal from the beginning has been to make a top-to-bottom great wrestling show. So I think Saturday in Greensboro, you're going to see a top-to-bottom great wrestling show because it's a group effort, and we all try to communicate. We all try to be on the same page from the first match to the last match and everything in between. So going into Saturday, I know you're going to see a Hell of a Trios match at least, but everything else in front of that, too, you're going to be able to enjoy. There's going to be something for everybody. There's going to be like the women's matches, the tag matches, singles matches, everything that you can imagine. And it's all going to be stuff that is sports-based. And we want you to just be able to watch and not try to insult anybody's intelligence, not do anything that takes you out of it. We want you to just be able to sit back, watch wrestling, and enjoy it and have fun and kind of forget about everything else going on in the world right now. And I believe that myself and Brody are going to beat the shit out of each other Saturday.
I think that's going to happen. I can just no black eyes, guys.
Who's got the real pets around here?
Now, if you guys win, do you celebrate with a Pepsi, or tequila?
Tequila for us. I might try to spike punks with Pepsi.
Well, what about a pizza? You know, Max gave out it looked like some good pizza a couple weeks ago, so maybe a pizza to go with it.
Greensboro, I'm going to go barbecue. Yeah, barbecue in Greensboro.
Barbecue, chicken, ribs.
Have you ever heard of barbecue, dude? Like pulled pork? Come on.
Oh, well, I didn't get to pulled pork. You didn't give me a chance.
I need to get a trip to the South, brother.
What about pizza?
No pizza. Just barbecue.
You know, Chicago has good barbecue, too.
It's going to be Eddie's Pizza and Pasta in Marion, North Carolina.
Huh. When you come here, we can do that, and then when a pay-per-view comes that way, I'll come and we'll do barbecue. We can shoot it all for DAZN.
That's the date.
All right, guys, we didn't cause too much trouble this time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for the time today. It's really appreciated. Look forward to Saturday. Look forward to All In, and we'll talk again in the future, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks, guys.